Hi there, Emily Midget here with you today, and I'm super excited to be joining Pinkfresh for their December 2021 release. I'm especially excited because I actually have a stamp set that I illustrated for this release that was used during the Create and Connect event last month. It's called Cosmos Bunch. And the supplies that we're going to be using in today's video are the Cosmos Bunch stamps and dies, which I illustrated, the Thank You So Much foil plate and coordinating die, and then some Copic markers, which I've got listed out there on the screen. Now, what we're going to do is we're going to stamp the Cosmos Bunch stamp using Hero Arts contour ink. This is a really great ink for using with no line coloring for Copics and for watercolors. Today we're going to be doing some Copic coloring. I have RV69, R39, and R35 red markers to color the main Cosmos blooms. I thought that it would be fun to create a holiday kind of a thank you note, and I'm really loving red, really deep, intense red with black lately with for holiday cards. I'm loving those really deep, intense pops of red. So we're going to be doing some no line coloring today, and my philosophy with no line coloring is keeping the edges crisp. That is your main goal when you are working with any medium with no line coloring, but especially with Copic markers. Keeping those edges crisp will help keep the delineation of each individual petal, and it will keep your petals from kind of bleeding into each other. So when I Copic color, I like to work from dark to light. So I first am finding the petals that are kind of tucked behind the other petals, and doing this, it helps me to kind of create a baseline for which petals are the darkest and which petals are lighter. The petals on top are lighter, the petals behind are darker. And so these first two petals that I'm coloring, they are the petals that are kind of tucked behind. So I work from dark to light. I lay down my darkest color first, and then I push that color out with my medium color, and then I push that even further out and blend it with my lightest color. You'll notice that I am keeping the marker pointing away from me, and that allows me to have the best control over where that color is going. I do rotate the paper so that I always have that marker point facing away from me so that I can see exactly where that color is going. Keeping the edges crisp is key. So moving from that bottom petal up, that allows you to, it's easier to color over a light area with a dark marker than it is to color with the opposite direction. So if you have your base layer first, those dark shadows first, you can create that crisp light edge of the petal on top. So I'm just working the color in with these three markers on this largest Cosmos bloom in this bouquet that I have illustrated here. And the coloring is fairly simple. It's only three markers. I use tons of markers. I can use up to 5 colors for one flower at a time. So there's no rule as to how many markers that you have to use, but I find that the combination of these three create a really beautiful, intense, Christmassy red. So we're just going to keep coloring this bloom and pulling that color out. I like to push the color away from me as opposed to trying to use a circular motion or a flicking motion. I try to push the color out. I try to use my lighter markers to push that color away from me, and I think that gives me a smooth blend. So there's our first finished flower. Now I'm going to speed this up a little bit because the concept is essentially the same. You work from the darkest areas to the lightest areas. Start with your dark color and push that color out with the lighter marker, and then finish off the edge of your petal with your lightest marker, blending to make sure that it's smooth and keeping your marker pointed away from you. Now, for our next section, we're going to be working with the foliage. We're only coloring the red flowers and the foliage on this project. I wasn't sure quite what to do with the little daisy filler flower type flowers. So I figured, why not just get rid of them? It's my illustration. I can do what I want with them. So I am going to only color the foliage and the red flowers and try to keep that kind of Christmassy feel to this bouquet. So I am using BG75, YG41, and BG75, YG45, and G12. My YG41 dried out on me in the middle of the video. And I am just doing the same thing. I'm laying down my dark color first and pushing that dark color out and blending it out with the lighter two colors, trying to keep the tip of the marker pointed away from me. And with foliage, it's the same idea, that you find your darkest area first and use that as your baseline for your darkest shadowed area. With petals, or with leaves, I do treat them like petals. Each half of leaf is like one petal, one individual petal. So they each have their own shape, and so they each need to have their own, each half of the leaf needs to have its own shading and its own shaping to it. So it's not just a matter of kind of filling in the whole thing and letting it go. There is a little bit of finesse with foliage. It took me a long time to figure out how to color foliage, but this is the technique that I've decided works best for my style. So we finished our coloring. Now we're going to work on the foiling portion. So I have the Thank You So Much foil plate from Pinkfresh. I have paired it with some Berry Crafter's Companion foil, and I am using my Gemini foil press. I've got it set on medium heat, and I'm going to heat it for about 50 seconds and run it through my Gemini Junior. And so now we've got the big reveal. I think there is something so magical about removing that foil. Look at that. That's so pretty. There is a little bit of extra foil over, but when you die cut it, that's not visible anymore. You can see how beautifully that die cut. So now we've got our main images colored, and we've got those little filler flowers around the edge that are still there, but we're not coloring them. So what we're going to do is we're going to die cut the entire image using the coordinating die. And then I am going to use some sharp scissors to cut the areas with the stamped flowers that we're not using, cut those off. I'm still leaving a white border around the edge, and there will be some little lines that you can see, but we're going to cover those up. One of the things that I really am enjoying lately is creating kind of a seamless look on my limited color palette cards. And to do that, I try to minimize the amount of white edges and other, kind of things that distract the eye. I try to minimize that. And so the way that we're going to do that today is that we are going to color the edges black. We've got a black card base. We're going to have a black, red foiled die cut. So now we're going to just take, this is a number 100 Copic marker. I end up having to switch to a number 110 in the middle because my green marker dried up in the middle of the video and this one had too much, and so I get a big black splotch on one of my leaves. But so we switch to it'll be a number 110, special black, I believe it's called, and we're just using the very tip of the marker to color that white edge and make that nice and crisp. One of the other added benefits of doing this is that if you have any kind of messy areas, messy edges on your coloring, on your no-line coloring, you can use that dark black marker to kind of cover that up and make your edges nice and crisp. So now what I was saying about those little white areas that kind of distract the eye on a card like this that's got the limited color palette, you can see little edges of white where I missed with the marker. So I'm just kind of using the edge of my marker to color those little white dots and make the entire die cut edge nice and dark and black so that you will not see those when the die cut is added to the card itself. So now there it is. The edge is nice and crisp and black, and it looks lovely on that nice pitch black cardstock from Hero Arts. That black cardstock is my favorite of all the brands that I have. So now I'm taping my bouquet down with some light tack washi tape, and I'm trimming off the overhang. We're going to use the overhang on a different portion of the card, so we want to make sure that that's nice and straight. And I'm going to adhere the leftovers with some foam tape. So I've got it arranged now the way I want. The washi tape has the added advantage of keeping things in place, but it also helps me to make sure that my edges stay nice and crisp, and then I know exactly where my die cut goes when I have added the foam tape to the back of my die cut, because it has to line up with that corner. So I'm just removing the release paper here and adhering that floral die cut to my card front, my pitch black card front. Add some more foam tape to the other floral Copic colored die cut. Lined up perfectly in the corner. Now it's time to add some foam adhesive and some liquid adhesive to our foiled die cut. I'm using Hero Arts liquid glue, precision glue I believe it's called. Everything's nice and glued down tight. That beautiful red foil on that black cardstock is just amazing. I love that look. Now I've got some Pinkfresh Essentials gems. These are the bright green, and I thought they would coordinate nicely with the green foliage. Just adding that with a little bit more liquid glue. And there we're done. I think this is such a festive and beautifully unique thank you card for a holiday gift. So I really appreciate you guys watching. If you like my work, please don't hesitate to check out my blog at emilymidget.com. And if you liked the video, give me a thumbs up and maybe hit the subscribe button if you'd like to see more content. So thanks so much for watching. Have a great day. Bye.